Hi, it's Splinterverse. In this video, we're going to be talking about Beowulf, Age of Heroes. It's a fun way to experience a duet version of Dungeons & Dragons, which is two players, one GM or DM, and a player. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take a deep dive, look at a lot of different parts of this game. It's available on 𝙎𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙪. At the time of this recording, it's $19.99, and it's 272 pages. I will say that I received a free copy of this game, so I'm not being paid to talk about it. All the opinions are my own. And if you'd like to be considered for a future video, please see the links in the video description for our form to submit your book. All right, taking a look at the stunning cover is a good sign of what's inside. There's a lot of fun to be had in this book and tons of stunning artwork. And if you're not familiar, Beowulf is one of the oldest surviving English writings. It is a poem, and it talks about this battle with this great beast. And this role-playing game is based kind of around that concept. It's got some historical stuff to it, but it's also got fantasy. If you like things like Vikings, Last Kingdom, or any of this sort of old European setting, you're really going to enjoy this. Even just the mechanics in here, I think you can repurpose for other things, make other duet games out of it, and lots of cool monsters, maps, everything in here. So let's take a look inside. So first, here's the credits. It's written by John Hodgson, David Rhea, and Jacob Rogers. And there's a bunch of art in here, so definitely take a look at the artists. John Hodgson is also one of the artists, which is amazing. And it's from Handiwork Games. There are print versions going to be available on their website right now. I think it's only digital, but eventually Handiwork will be selling print versions as well. There was a Kickstarter, so some people may already have the hardcovers out there. So you've got a foreword by a Beowulf scholar, which is a fun read if you're into Old English writing. Like I am, it's a really entertaining read, and I encourage you to look for the actual Beowulf story. It's out there. It's public domain at this point since it's so old. Go out there and read it. There have been some movies, etc., but find the original and read through it at some point. But let's go through the sections of the book, and then we'll dive deep into most of them. So you've got the world of Beowulf, which kind of gives you the overview of the setting so that you know what you're playing in. And then you've got the creating the hero, talking about the class that you use, the backgrounds, the feats, all of that stuff. Then followers, which is something you would have to sort of build out your party, since it is, again, a duet system with one player, one referee. Then you've got adventure, how to create an adventure, what's involved in the adventure, what to do between adventures. We're going to talk about that. Treasures, and then we go into a sample scenario called the Three Ogre Brothers. Then you've got all these monsters, which are a lot of fun. And then you've got a really nice appendix, which we're also going to talk about. So I want to read just a little bit from some of the intro here, just to give you a feel for it. So it says, Beowulf Age of Heroes gives you an early medieval mythic setting in which a lone hero battles monsters. Intended to be played by one player and one GM, Beowulf adds a layer of new rules to 5th edition that enable you to enjoy duet play. And then it talks about the poem versus the game and some other interesting things to read in here. And again, stunning art throughout, so you can enjoy all of that. And it says, with the scheduling friendly nature of duet play, we want Beowulf to be really easy to pick up, put down, and pick up once again. We've created a lot of really cool accessories to enhance the campaign that you will build one-on-one. And we've provided things to do between sessions for both the GM and the player in order to build a story and a world together. Because this is based on Beowulf, which originally was told orally. People would sit around a campfire or wherever and tell this story. And over the years, of course, it changed because you have different tellers, different poets iterating through this poem. And so I love that the authors of this book have decided to keep that feel and have storytelling and journaling and things like that being part of this whole experience. I think it's just a really cool way to make this special, and I like it quite a bit. So again, more of that fun art here. So here's a map of the campaign area. So you might recognize some of these shapes. You know, here's the UK up here. You've got Iceland up here, Scandinavia, and then continental Europe, of course. So again, if you've watched Vikings, Last Kingdom, any of these shows, this is going to be a fun experience for you because it's going to be similar, not exactly like those shows, but it's going to be similar in terms of the feel because you're dealing with first century common area stuff. And I love how they've weaved in some history and just really beautiful artwork. And speaking of maps, I want you to see there are at least 3 that come with the book, and they have gridded, non-gridded versions. This is just one of them, and I think they're all very beautiful. I was looking at them. I'm not showing you everything in the video because I really want you to support these creators. Get out there and get your own copy of this. Start having your own experiences with it, and discover new things that you can say wow as you're flipping through the pages, as opposed to just seeing it all in my video. So, but I did like this one. I liked all the maps, but this one jumped out at me as one that was really good as well. So wanted to show that with you. And again, there's a gridded version to be had as well if you purchase this book. So lots of information on the setting. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I did want to stop on this section here and talk about scops and smiths, poetry and iron. It says, within society there are some professions which are considered special. Scops are the storytellers, minstrels, and poets of the age. They might wander the land, earning their living by telling tales in a new place each night, or they might be resident at a mead hall. Scops help preserve order with their instructional tales, and they are the bringers of news and relaters of reputations. As such, they enjoy some protections beyond the common laws of hospitality. No ruler or of any repute would harm or allow harm to befall a scop. Everything that happens in Beowulf Age of Heroes game is considered part of a scop's tale, or even the retelling of the scop's tale. Thus, all inconsistencies and deviations from strict history are excused. The GM need not have an encyclopedic knowledge of Anglo-Saxon history or myth, since the world is a wide one. Stories are handed down from every age, and every scop tells the tale in a different way. So, what we're saying here when reading this is that it's not strict. Even though this is Anglo-Saxon setting, you don't have to represent every little historical fact. Obviously there are monsters. Obviously there are other things that are going on that are fantastical. So don't let that it's kind of couched in a historical setting hold you back or prevent you from getting into this. I do sense a hesitation sometimes from players, DMs, when they look at these settings that are historical. Oh gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be accurate. Don't worry about that. This is all about having fun. A lot of stories get lost. I mean, Beowulf is one of the oldest surviving English writings, but there were other writings probably that just did not survive, right? So maybe what happened to your character just did not survive, the ages. So don't worry about it. So then they also have gods and monsters, of course. And what I like about the god section that I wanted to point out is that there's all these different variations on the name, representing, again, historical versions of the names. So for Thor, which most of us know, you've got Thunor and Donar as well. So it says god of thunder and the sky, fighter of the giants. Thunor is the hammer-wielding god of storms and strength. Thunor is an extremely popular god with his red hair and bristling red beard. Riding his goat chariot across the world, 𝙎𝙪 battles giants and monsters to great effect. He is both a prolific lover with many children to many different mothers and a fighter battling any number of monsters. So, fun details, and there's more to be read about 𝙎𝙪 or Thor, and then other gods as well in here. But again, I'm not giving everything away. I want you to get in here and read that. And I love the little pencil sketches they have here of the gods as well. So of course, because it's Duet, you can't just use the rules as written in 5th edition. There have to be some modifications. So I'm not going to go through all the rules, but I'm going to read some of them so you can get an idea of some of the changes. So it says the hero class. Beowulf is centered around the hero class created specifically for this setting. The hero class features 6 subclasses, each of which are centered around an ability score. And you basically, as a player, you have to play as the hero class. You can't just pick a traditional 5th edition class. You have to play as the hero class because of how the game is structured. It says there are no so-called races in the world of Beowulf. All heroes are human beings. The benefits gained from a character's heritage and the regular 5th edition rules are here folded into their background. During character creation, simply skip the race selection step. And then we're going to talk a little bit about that class and how the hero class is structured. And then alignment around the Whale Road. It says heroes are assumed to be largely good in nature and driven to help those in need of help. Or at the very least, they are driven to accidentally do good by fighting monsters. Rather than choosing a traditional alignment, heroes decide whether they follow the old ways of the traditional gods like Woden, 𝙎𝙪, and Tyr, or if they follow the newer teachings of the church. Some heroes remain decidedly on the fence, picking to follow neither or both. Traditional alignment from 5th edition does not play a part in Beowulf. So I like that you have these two choices. Again, it reminds me of Vikings because you have in that show representations of the church, Christianity, and then of course the old gods with the pantheons and stuff. So it says word is a person's fate, doom, or destiny. Heroes have a very strong sense of word, or weird, you can pronounce it either way, and thereby gain the ability to access the advantage of being singled out by the old gods, the will of the god of the church, or simply by luck. Due to the influence of their fated destiny, a hero can use an alignment die. This die used is dependent on the hero's alignment. The alignment die is part of having a heroic word. Whenever a hero makes a roll with advantage, they may choose one of the dice that they are about to roll to be representative of their alignment, be it the will of the old gods, a respective tradition, a divine omen, or part of the gods of the book's divine plan. If that die is then selected to be the result of the roll, then the hero gains inspiration whether the roll succeeds or not. They might take a loss in the short term on a failed roll, but are rewarded with inspiration by their word or fate. It is helpful to roll d20s of different colors to make identification that much easier. So dice lovers, they actually are giving you an opportunity to use multiple sets of dice with purpose, right? You can say, okay, the green ones represent this, the blue ones represent that. So I like that. And it says there's no limit to the number of times a player may use an alignment die. And it says before you roll with advantage, choose one of the d20s to be your alignment die. If you select that die as the result, you gain inspiration. So very fun. And then here it's talking about the defeated condition and the inspiration pool. So a little bit about that. So the inspiration pool is a unique addition to the 5th edition rule set. Inspiration tokens are allotted to 3 different groups, which can be accessed during the adventure in different ways. This can make the adventure a little easier and decidedly more heroic for the player, or a little more challenging if things don't go their way. The 3 different groups within the inspiration pool are the hero pool, which the player can access when they need some inspiration. In order to gain inspiration from the hero pool, the player must in some way link the current events to the text of the portent. And the portent is a piece of poetry randomly created at the beginning of the adventure. It might represent the reading of omens, a message from God or the gods. It might be a snatch of a song. The delivery of the portent can take many forms, but it's created by the player rolling dice, and the results create a line of verse as well as stocking the inspiration pool. So it kind of keeps things tied to a story, right? Because again, we're building a story that is written down and or orally told by these characters, right? So, and then you have the follower pool that can be used to give followers the benefit of inspiration. So we're going to talk about followers later, but they're basically like the NPCs that fill out your party. In order to gain inspiration for the follower pool, the player must in some way link the current events to the text of the portent. The monster pool is for the GM to use. In order to gain inspiration for the monster pool, the GM must in some way link the current events to the text of the portent. So you see, the portent is kind of like, I would call it that thread underneath the story that is kind of holding it together. As a writer, I'm very familiar with that. So it's this sort of thing that is weaving through, and what's fun is that it can be something that's interpreted, right? So the player can interpret it and have to be kind of creative to tie it back to the portent, and same with the GM. They have to be creative, think of ways to tie in this stuff to access this inspiration pool for the monsters. So very fun, lots of stuff, and we'll get more into the defeated condition in a later part of the video. So as I said earlier, you don't have a race, you have a background, and there's multiple ones in this book, but I'm going to just highlight part of the adrift one, because again, I don't want to give everything away. So it says, you have no clear memories of your past, at least up to a certain point. You might have suffered an accident or been wounded in battle. No matter the cause, your personal history is currently a mystery to you. And it says you have skill proficiencies in insight and perception, and then you have one of the following for equipment: a book in a language you don't read, an engraving of a person or group of people that you don't remember, or a musical instrument or set of tools that you don't remember how to use. And then your feature is familiar faces. Once per adventure, you can spend inspiration and select a non-player character. That character knows something of your hero, though it may be difficult to learn that information if the NPC is hostile or indifferent to the hero. If it requires effort to learn something from the character, the hero receives either an advancement award or meaning XP for their level. And there's a whole section on how to grant XP in this book for successfully revealing it. If the character is friendly, then they should provide assistance to the hero during at least one scene in the adventure. And then you've got some samplings here of the ideals and bonds. So truth, I can't remember my past, so my only hope is honesty. Memory, I desperately chase after anything that might restore my mind. And then down here under bonds, you've got, I have one memory, something that I don't quite understand, but if I ever had a chance to learn more, I would do anything to pursue it. There is one person who was the first person I met when I awoke. I would do anything to keep them safe. So some good bonds and ideals here. And that's just a sampling. And here's some lovely art they have for the adrift background. So they go well together. And then this part is just a selection. So I didn't start with the first page of the hero class because it's more of like an introduction. But the hero class, it talks about all your features. So you've got the word or weird, as we looked at earlier. You've got your alignment die. It says heroic tale. When creating your character, you choose a heroic tale that represents the ability score your hero most strongly represents. The tale you choose grants you features first level, and again at 3rd, 7th, 10th, 14th, and 18th. And so your heroic tale is your subclass, and we're going to look at one of those in full in just a minute. And then you got a fighting style. At 2nd level, you adopt a particular style of fighting as your specialty. Choose one of the following options. You can't take a fighting style option more than once, even if you later get to choose again. And then so there's an assortment here. I'm just going to read 2. Desperate dueling. When you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapon, you gain +2 bonus damage to rolls with that weapon. Shield strong. When you are equipped with a spear in one hand and a shield in the other, you gain an additional +1 bonus to AC. And then there's 2 other ones to choose. And then mighty metal. Also, when you reach 2nd level, you spend a bonus action, inspiration, and 1 or more hit dice to grant yourself temporary hit points. You receive hit points equal to your level in this class, plus the total rolled on the hit dice. You do not add your constitution modifier when using hit dice in this manner. And then ability score improvements, you get those when you reach the 4th level, and again at 6th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th. And that's just the first page of the abilities. There's more to it. I'm not going to go into it, but you can see there's a lot of things that happen. You get indomitable, tail feature, counterattack, more tail features, relentless, and hero's doom at the 20th level. So some fun stuff. And of course your proficiency bonus as usual goes up. So this is one of quite a few subclasses that they present. It's called 𝙎𝙗𝙘𝙪𝙧. Most enduring of heroes, 𝙎𝙗𝙘𝙪𝙧 are heroes able to endure extremes of physical punishment, whether through their mental determination, bullish physical endurance, or a combination of both. Stone Belly, when you choose this tale at first level, you have advantage on any saving throw or ability check made to resist the effects of any poison, including alcohol. Glutton for Punishment. At third level, as a bonus action, you may spend a hit die to gain resistance to one type of damage of your choice, and critical hits of the selected damage type also become normal hits. The effect lasts until the beginning of your next turn. Endless Endurance. At 7th level, you have advantage on saving throws made to avoid levels of exhaustion. Force of Will. At 10th level, whenever you are stunned or paralyzed as a bonus action, you can spend Inspiration to negate the effect. And then Unyielding Stamina. At 14th level, you can spend a bonus action to recover hit points equal to 10 plus your Constitution score. You must take a long rest before using this feature again. And then at 18th, you can spend a bonus action to give a creature the following feature. Defeatable. This creature gains the defeated condition if it fails a con saving throw against an effect, and you pass the saving throw against the same effect. So that's a cool feature. We're going to talk about defeatable versus undefeatable later, but really fun. I love the artwork here. The abilities seem fun and different, and this is just one. Like I said, there's other ones in here. Then of course there's equipment unique to the era. You've got all the information about them with really fun artwork. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this page, but I wanted you to see that the book really does a good job of covering all the bases. Sometimes you see these books that are based on historical settings and they don't really fill in all the gaps. Not that they have to cover all the bases, but it can be really daunting to say, okay, we're not even going to tell you about equipment, and then you got to go research all the equipment from the period so that it feels like it fits, right? You don't have to do that with this because it's here. And then it's just some interesting stuff that they're talking about later when they say more than one player in Beowulf Age of Heroes. We usually expect one hero, an exceptional individual who is accompanied by followers that aid them, but are rarely directly in the action. However, that just doesn't always need to be the case. It is true that a lot of our inspiration draws on stories about a singular hero, but there are other stories about a team of exceptional people, and you can use that model as well. If you choose to play Beowulf with multiple players, then your group will not have any followers. Instead, the group should be able to accomplish together what a singular hero and their followers could by themselves. And then there are 3 different ways. So you can use the hero class as is, best for small groups. Use the hero class but adjust the starting values if there are 3 or more heroes. Each hero starts with 8 plus their con modifier hit points instead of the higher starting amount, and there are no followers. Or use outsider classes using the core rules for character generation. So that's nice that you can continue using this content. You can even use the hero class with traditional classes. I appreciate that. And I'll mention this again at the end of the video, but there are a ton of releases coming out from Handiwork Games to support Beowulf. There's published adventures, there's these digital packs that have additional things like new monsters, NPCs, etc. So you want to, if you get into this setting, you definitely want to keep an eye on Handiwork Games and see what else is coming out to support this. There's been a lot of beautiful stuff coming out. We covered a little bit in our weekly video series, so you can check some of them out there as well. And then no followers, balance expectations, all of that good stuff is talked about here. And so here's one of the beautiful splash pages talking about followers. So it says Beowulf does not go to face Grendel or his mother alone, neither should your hero venture forth without some loyal friends to aid them. These companions are known as followers in Beowulf. A starting hero who has a few followers from their home mead hall and will encounter many more in their adventures. Winning and retaining followers is an essential part of the game. So you've got the followers, it says the follower turn, how to spend, all activating them, basically what they do. And then they have this cool burden and gift system. So it's basically, it says the following is a list of burdens and gifts to use when creating and improving followers. Some gifts that represent a follower's background can be selected as extra starting gifts and don't count toward a follower's initial number of gifts. Some gifts cannot be selected for a starting follower as they represent advanced training. Some burdens or gifts might cancel each other out. For example, if you have two gifts, one which gives the follower advantage on death saving throws and one that gives the follower disadvantage, then they basically roll as normal. So you just have to keep that in mind. And they do give you a good sized chunk of these burdens and gifts. So we're just going to look at a few of them. So the first one here, awkward. This follower has disadvantage on charisma checks. So, and that's easy to role play. You can make the NPC awkward if you're the GM for this adventure. You've got clumsy. This follower has disadvantage on dex checks, etc. So it can be easy to play that. And then under gifts, you've got gifts that are marked with an asterisk or starting gifts. Those marked with a dagger are advanced gifts. So something to keep in mind. So alert is an advanced gift. If this follower is present for a combat, roll initiative for the followers with advantage. And then let's look at one of the starting ones. Baker. This follower knows how to make bread and pastry. Spend this follower in a location with appropriate supplies and equipment to feed a group of people. So I like that these followers are diverse, in the sense that they can be used for a number of different things. They're not just there to be meat shields or another sword in the battle. They can maybe be baking pastries even. So that's cool. And then you've got some information on the adventure with another fun spread of art. And so the way that the adventure is structured with Beowulf is a little different as well. So I just wanted to read this. And they have a nice flow chart in the appendix that you can use to kind of represent this for teaching purposes. But you have preparation important. The hero learns of the danger and accepts the quest. They gain some hint to what is to come. And so this is where that portent, that underlying thread is developed. And then the next phase is sail and surf. The hero and their followers leave safety and voyage to danger. So there's information on ships and dealing with the ships in here. And then you've got mead hall and mystery. The hero arrives at their destination. They seek to learn more about it from the people and places they explore. So this would be like going to a tavern or a town and, more traditional game. Exploring, role-playing, asking questions, etc. Then there's the monster. Sooner or later, the danger must be met head-on. If the hero has not completed their investigation, this will likely end with the monster temporarily victorious. Eventually, the hero learns the necessary secrets and defeats the monster or dies trying. So we're going to get into that in just a minute about why that would happen. But there can be some sort of back and forth between these phases. Like you encounter the monster, you get defeated, or you run away, or it runs away, and then you go back. And then rest and rewards. If the monster is defeated, there may be rewards at hand. And newly freed people may be generous in their gifts, or in the monster itself might have a hoard of stolen items. But the hero must also be generous, providing followers and crew with well-deserved riches. So, interesting structure. Seems to work really well based on what I've read through here. Then I just wanted to touch on this concept of player journals. It says, between adventures, the GM will be busy preparing a new story for the player and perhaps helping to adjudicate the downtime activities of the hero. But what about the followers and the player? Are there things they can be doing to help build out the world of Beowulf? This chapter introduces optional rules for player-facing activities to help develop the game world, mostly by focusing on followers and their backstories. As followers develop, they can even graduate into becoming heroes themselves, which might then become available as a new character for the player to use. However, if the player is not interested in journaling or exploring the setting, then these rules can be safely ignored. The basic rules for advancing followers can still be used, and there's no major difference in mechanical effect. Followers will just advance at a slightly slower pace. So, journal sessions. The player can do one journaling session between adventures unless the game master allows them to do more. Nominally, the journaling counts as part of the reward stage, though it is often completed after the rest of it. It's fine for the player to just note, I will do journals for Hinks, an active follower, and Berta, a possible new follower. The hero journal players can choose to keep a journal of their hero, recording each adventure along with their feelings and reactions to those events. These journal entries can also help highlight what the hero found most interesting, providing hints to the game master about future sessions. The structure and length of the hero journal is up to the player. Game masters might want to encourage hero journaling by giving the character an advancement XP checkmark or level appropriate meeting XP, depending on the experience system you're using. So again, there's a whole section on that. But what I like about this is that it gives something to be done between sessions. Journaling can be fun. Some people really get into like what kind of method they're going to journal. Are they going to type it up? Are they going to use a beautiful little book that they scour and look for this really cool book? Maybe they're going to try to find a book that matches the setting. Maybe it looks kind of like one of these characters' mead hall settings, or some Anglo-Saxon setting. Even the GM, if they want to encourage this journaling activity, could gift that to the player and say, I'll give you this if you agree to do the journaling and, take photos and send them to me or whatever, or show it to me so I can reward the followers, etc., based on that. And this is just a part of it. There's a lot more. This is just the beginning of the section, so you should definitely read through all of that and see what options are out there. And then, as I said, they go into this Three Ogre Brothers sample scenario. And I just want to show how beautiful the art is. They've got these lovely stat blocks and details on locations. We're not going to read through this, but I wanted to show the image at least. And then, of course, there's a monster section with some fun artwork. Whoops. So here we're going to go into the defeatable and undefeatable. So while many foes will fight to the death, most foes are optionally defeatable. A hero can fulfill some condition that will cause the foe to be defeated, and the foe will not fight to the death, instead following one of the behaviors listed below. The stat blocks list some suggested criteria for becoming defeated. So basically, to summarize that, a lot of the monsters cannot be just killed automatically. In fact, they take less damage until you understand what their weaknesses are. Because it's a story, right? You got to go investigate and find out, well, what is the rumor about the weakness of this monster? How do I defeat it? And that's why there's this back and forth of go up against the monster and then come back and all of that stuff. And I think, again, it's going to build the story, because this is resembling classic literature and these classic story structures, right? So once subject to the defeated condition, a creature may have its fighting spirit broken and will immediately attempt to flee, never to be seen again. Surrender to the creature who inflicted the defeated condition, become doomed to die from wounds, be in some way disarmed, become vulnerable to suggestion or command, be permanently pinned, become harmless, etc. So whatever the GM wants to do, but once they've been afflicted by the defeated condition because the hero has discovered the secret, then one of those things can happen, or they can just be basically killed. Undefeatable. Capital M monsters are undefeatable, meaning that they take almost no damage from regular attacks and defeated condition triggers no longer apply. Only monsters can have the undefeatable feature, and gaining it is what turns a foe into a monster. Some high-level heroes can use their abilities to force an undefeatable creature to become defeatable. Most of the time it is up to the hero to figure out how to remove the undefeatable feature and then how to bestow the defeated condition, or to simply beat the monster to death by removing all hit points where that is possible. But as we saw with that Ox subclass earlier, that character, when it gets to higher level, can cause the defeated condition automatically, but you got to be pretty high level, so there's going to be some fights prior to that where you're going to have to figure out what the defeatable state is. And it says here's some common ways to remove the undefeatable feature, because of course you can make your own monsters for Beowulf as well. So it says the right tool the hero needs to find, craft, steal, or otherwise acquire a special weapon created specifically to defeat the monster. Soft underbelly, slipped scale, the hero must discover knowledge of and attack a hidden or secret weak spot. True name, discovering the secret true name of a monster and revealing it sometimes is enough to break its immunity. And that's just 3 out of at least 6 here. And this is one of the monsters in the book, the 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙬𝙧𝙤. And you can see, okay, removing the undefeatable feature. It's got 2 undefeatable removal options with stunning art here for the creature. The typical stat block, it's a fiend, it's a CR 8, and it's got all these cool abilities. And then you've got, like I said, the removing the undefeatable over here. So it says 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙀 shadow walkers are another sort of fiend that occasionally trouble the living. Most of the time, they are just seen as faint shapes moving in the fogs around the hills and barrows or during the darkest times of night. They are very tall, almost gaunt, with at least 4 limbs that end in grasping claws. So you can use this outside of duet play. You just maybe don't use the defeatable, or you can still use the defeatable. Maybe there's a creature in your regular 5th edition setting, multiplayer setting, where it does have a defeatable, undefeatable. So I love these mechanics. I think it's a lot of fun. And you can read through, there's a bunch of other stuff here, things like mimic, add mimicry. The shadow walker can mimic animal sounds and humanoid voices. A creature that hears the sounds can tell they are imitations with a successful insight check. So you can add all of these gifts to it to make it more of a threat, I guess. And then just to give an example of the undefeatable feature, so it says, let the sun shine in. Allowing sunlight into the hidden home of a shadow walker might render it weak enough to be destroyed, but that would mean finding its home first. And then running water, the healing power of flowing water is said to be poison to a shadow walker. So just 2 options there. And maybe both of those are possible, and it's just up to the hero and the followers to figure out at least one of those to be able to defeat this 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙀. So I like it. And I'm probably totally butchering the pronunciation, but that's okay. You can figure out how to pronounce it on your own. Appendix is awesome. I really enjoyed this part of the book as well. And so I'm not going to show the tables in here, but I just want to zoom in on what's in there. So you've got an Anglo-Saxon name generator table. You've got that flowchart I was showing you that you can use to educate people on how it works as far as the flow of the game. Then you've got names of like the mead halls and the rulers for the mead halls. You've got some monster tables for some additional background information on the monster. Then you've got a background NPC generator, the one that's in the background of the story, a foreground NPC generator, portent tables to help you with those portents, pre-generated follower cards, blank follower cards, a monster worksheet so you can create your own with defeatable, undefeatable stuff, social encounter sheet, character sheet, and then a Beowulf reading list. And then another beautiful thing that you don't often see in a Dungeons and Dragons book is an index. So this is lovingly presented, really fun, lots of good stuff to be had in this book, and I really enjoyed reading through it. I think it's going to be so much fun to play. I just think they did a brilliant job coming up with these mechanics, and you might have to tweak them a little bit for your table, but that's okay. I mean, that's how it is with all games, and I think that it's a great starting point to really get Duet going. And I think there's so much reusability in here too, because maybe you don't always want to play this Duet system, right? Maybe you want to take the 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙀 out of there and put it into a regular campaign, or one of the other mini monsters that are in this book and the other supplements from Handiwork Games. So I really enjoyed getting to look at this. Love all the art and just the concepts in here. I think they're so much fun, and I'm sure there's something in here for the $19.99 that you can enjoy, whether it's the whole game, which I hope it is. I hope you play it as is, because I think it's brilliant, or just you take pieces out and use them for other things until you get an opportunity to play the Duet version of the game. I really encourage you to do that. And I also love that it's encouraging people to learn about history and the oldest surviving English literature in Beowulf itself. So check it out on DriveThruRPG. It's linked in the video description below, and if you purchase it through that link, you are helping the channel get a small percentage through the affiliate fees. So thanks so much for checking it out. If you've got a title you'd like us to consider for a video review on the channel, please see the video description for a link to our Google form where you can submit your title. We can't promise we're going to cover every single title we receive, but we do appreciate receiving them and having the opportunity to consider your work. If you'd like to support the channel, consider purchasing one of our books. We've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages with truly unique lineages for any setting, as well as optional rules to help you deal with lineages in your campaign. We've also got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages in both digital and print-on-demand format, with tons of new potions, including a short story for each one explaining its origin, as well as potion locations, plants, and more. There's even a magic school in there where you can learn to do potions, so it's perfect if you're using Strixhaven. We've also got the Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of Feywild fun for both DMs and players alike. Inside, you've got complete adventures, encounters, monsters, as well as a subclass for every single class, spells, magic items, even rules on how to alter monster size and keep them balanced. We also have Fizzban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, including tons of dragon-themed player content, with a subclass for each class, draconic gifts, magic items, trinkets, a brand new familiar, and adventure hooks to tie everything together, for the DM to incorporate all the new stuff in the book, or for the player to use to create a backstory. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Please follow us on Twitter at Splinterverse, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, and stay tuned because we have much more D&D content headed your way. Until next time, happy adventuring.